Hey guys, it's Synik25 here, bringing you a Yu-Gi-Oh battle versus Cyber Dragons. Now, this was a really clutch battle. I really enjoyed this one, so I hope you guys do too. So it starts off, he gets first move, and he places Gear Town thing, and at this moment I'm like, oh boy, we're playing Gear Town and Cyber Dragons. This is going to be interesting. So Cyber Dragons, if you don't know, is a very offensive deck, and if you don't have the right control for it, it really can run you down, and that's what almost happened to me this duel. But I ended up just keeping the control and pushing through. So he summons his Cyber Dragon Core and then just sets 3 face downs. At this point, I'm looking at a pretty good hand. He activates Cyber Network, which is really scary because after 3 standby phases, after 3 of his standby phases, he can bring back all the cards that he's been banishing. So I'm like praying for an MST. But looking at my hand right now, I have a pretty decent hand. This is a very good hand for consistency. I got Rhoda for Pollux, I have Tenki for cost, I have Pot of Duality to clean up any errors in the engine, and I'm just pretty pleased with it. I even have Sombre and Tour Guide. So I go ahead and try to activate my Tenki, which he proceeds to chain his Cyber Network as well as an MST to stop it. So that's a little unfortunate, and I really wanted that cause, but it's okay. I actually end up getting it on the Pot of Duality. So go ahead, activate that. Like I see that cause, I'm like going straight for it, not passing on opportunity to get that cause. So I just go ahead and play my Compulse face down into my turn. So at this point, Cyber Network's still ticking. Very scared of that, and he just goes in for 400. So he passes back to me, and I end up getting Constellar Sheraton, which is cool because I can continue to bulk up the Constellars in my hand. But unfortunately, he proceeds to skill drain, and that's not good. So when I saw that, I'm like, I'm fucked at this point because skill drain really messes up Constellars hardcore because I can't manipulate levels, I can't make the Pallades play, and I'm really just praying for an MST for either of these, Cyber Network or skill drain. But at this point, skill drain is definitely a more pressing concern. But nevertheless, I just go in for the kill, and in my turn. Back to him. He draws into yet another trap, which is not good. He goes ahead and special summons the Cyber Core and just throws his face down, which obviously I don't know what it is at this point. I go ahead and play Pollux, which he proceeds to Solemn Warning, and I just put Sheraton in defense under my turn. I'm really just trying to make something happen, and this is where things get really dirty. So he finally gets his Cyber Network off and special summons everything that was banished. But fortunately, Cyber Network does have the downside in the sense that he has to destroy all spell and traps he controls. And normally that would actually benefit him with Gear Town, but unfortunately for him, he ended up clogging up his field and couldn't actually benefit from losing Gear Town. So at this point, he proceeds to XZ up for Cyber Dragon Nova, and I'm not having any of it, and I proceed to compulse it directly off. Because the thing with Cyber Dragon Nova is you really don't want it to go to the grave, because then it gets a secondary effect. But he ends up fusing out for his Meritech Fortress Dragon, which is very scary, and those 2 face downs are no joke either. So at this point, my mindset is I need to get around that Cybertech Fortress Dragon and also get around those face downs. And the only card I know that can do it is Omega with Honest. So that's what I proceed to do. I end up just boosting Sheraton's level up to 4, make my Omega, and go directly in with Honest to take it out. So get in a good 2400. With that, I just end up playing Fiendish Chain face down and ending my turn. So on his move, he goes ahead, special summons Cyber Dragon, activates Call to Hornet to special summon another Cyber Dragon, and goes straight back into his Cyber Dragon Nova. And I know I cannot let him abuse this card, because if he starts abusing it, I'm in some deep trouble. So I know I need to Fiendish Chain it, so that's what I go and do. So he activates Call to Hornet, essentially to get some defense, because with Cyber Valley, if I go to attack it, it'll immediately end the battle phase, which makes sense, and it'll also allow him to draw a card. So he's making plays that he needs to make, considering the situation. I'm just really trying to start making my own advance. I unfortunately draw into a second Tour Guide, so that made me sad. But I do have Sombre in my hand, and I was looking at my grave, and I was like, okay, I really want to get cost into my hand so I can make my Pallades, but I don't have anything else to banish aside from Pollux. So I unfortunately had to burn Omega's effect for pretty much nothing, just to go ahead and get cost in the grave so I can activate Sombre to banish Pollux and get cost into my hand and make my Pallades. Even though Pollux get banished, I'm not too worried about that. He's not going to end up dead because I do have Tour Guide in my hand, and usually what I end up doing is I go Tour Guide, and then make Leviair, and then from Leviair I end up taking Pollux back to utilize it. So that's cool, and I was waiting to do that next turn. But from Pallades, I end up just bouncing Cyber Dragon Nova back to the extra deck so he doesn't get his effect when he's sent to the grave, and then just run into Cyber Valley. Just, you know, activate your effect, get your card, whatever, and then move on. So at this point, he's going to go ahead, get Cyber Core back to the field, and end up just dropping some face downs. So at this point, I'm looking to go for game. I really want to go for game here, and I think I can do it. I draw into a maxi, which is cool. So at this point, I was thinking pretty hard about whether I should go ahead and make Ptolemy M7 or just go for the tour guide play and get Pollux. And ended up, I decided to hold off on everything and just go for the attack. And when I proceed to attack with Omega, he ends up activating Skill Drain. I'm like, oh no. So I know what he's planning. He's going to stop Omega's effect, so then he can activate his Mirror Force to kill everything on my field. And I cannot let that happen because I'm in big trouble if I lose these creatures. And that's exactly what he does. He actually ends up activating his Mirror Force. And from that, I'm like, okay, we're going to play some shenanigans on him with this whole backwards reverse activation thing. I'm like, okay, I'm not 100% sure if this is going to work, but to my understanding, this is how resolving backwards works. I'm going to activate Pallades. I'm going to bounce back Skill Drain. And then I'm going to chain Omega to stop the Mirror Force. And I was just like crossing my fingers, like, I hope I'm understanding this correctly, that this should save me. And it ended up saving me. So I was really happy about that, and it actually won me the duel. And I just go on for the kill with Pallades. So that was a really clutch duel. I was really just trying to keep his deck under control the entire battle, and it ended up working out for me. This is my normal Constellar deck. I just ended up making a more lockdown version, which has a lot more control than this. But even without the lockdown cards like Vanity's Emptiness, I still have a lot of control in this deck. And it's just cool to be able to control the field, especially on such an offensive deck like Cyber Dragon. So I had a lot of fun with this duel. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And as always, feel free to like, subscribe, and take care.